Good evening.
And how are you this evening?
Fine. Yeah,
I hope that you all are well.
much better. Much better. Today was a strange kind of day. Today was a day where some thoughts want to come forth, and you have to actually challenge those thoughts and challenge until you get the thoughts to back down and you know just go away. Literally had to talk to yourself as to where's the evidence, where's the evidence, and everything seemed to be needing some evidence. So today was a strange day, but it was interesting.
Good evening. Sorry about that. I wasn't hearing.
Good
Okay.
evening.
So you're hearing now?
Yeah, loud and clear.
How was your week this week?
Sounds good.
Okay.
Can't complain.
Okay. And Crystal, are you there? All right. So I guess Crystal is not very close to her phone. I hope that you all had a really good week. And I hope that, were any of you given an opportunity where you had to confront a challenge and you really had to dig deep for the answers?
Hmm. Well, on Saturday, my son informed me the car was not working, and I wanted to go to service on Sunday morning. So I thought about it, and I said, you know what? You have what you need. And my sister goes to her service for 8 o'clock. I know she's going down the highway. So I called her the day before, the Saturday, and I said, what time do I have to be ready so I can scooch a lift with you on the highway? And you can drop me in San Juan and I could make my way from there. She said, well, no, I have to leave extra early. Da, 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 da. But the short of it was that I was able to meet up with her at a point close to my home. And I traveled. I enjoyed the little adventure, hopping taxis in the crazy to get to where I was going. And it turned out to be quite gentle. I got to where I was going at about 7:45 or 7:49. I was where I wanted to be. So I was able to very calmly do what I thought needed to be done, get ready, be there. So I was there ready. And on the way back, I had already told myself that I bound. I must get somebody's leaving and I will get a lift down to the crazy from where I can make my way down. So said, so done. And it was quite a little adventure. Me running ahead of the vagrant who is saying, moms, moms. And I'm like, maxi taxi, stop for me, please. So I was home at very early time, resting. So it just proved that if you don't panic about things, of course, for the rest of the day, my mind was still on the car that needed to be fixed. But I got to where I needed to go and I wanted to go on Sunday morning. And so things work out. You really have what you need. And there was something else I wanted to do around the house, and I was saying, but. And then I stopped the butt and I looked around well and I said, that is what is going to be done. And the thoughts just came, and now I have it done as a well defined project. I know what I'm going to be doing next weekend.
Okay. Noted. Anyone else? Were you confronted with any challenge this week where you really had to take a deep breath before proceeding forward? All right. So for tonight's topic, of course, we would be looking at work is the greatest form of love. And I know for some they might disagree because a lot of people, you think, no, 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 no. Work is work and love is love. It is not the same thing. But when you hear the sentence, work is the greatest form of love, what comes to mind or what do you understand by it?
Hmm. Well, if you look at it from just the simple aspect of the parts where you love, where you enjoy, but then when you add another little layer on it, is what do you consider work?
Mm-hmm.
And so to eat, you have to work. I mean, literally, to eat, you have to work. You have to take that fork and put it to your mouth. So all of that is work. To 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 get dressed, the clothes not just going to fall on you. So you have to use your hands. All of that is work. Then, if you helping someone with something, all of that is work. You might not be getting paid for it in terms of money, or what you are looking for in terms of dollars, but you're exchanging something, and that comes back to you in the form of something else. So for me, all of that is love. All of that is love. And it coming back in an energy form that you might call money, or as I told a teacher recently, she asked me how much I will charge to come and do a session. So I asked her, well, Miss, what is your budget? She said, well, I said, well, if you have no money, why are you asking me about what my fee is? You have no money. I say, however, I love fruits. And I feel very, very happy at the end of a school session when I see a big basket of fruit coming my way with a bow. I say, and you don't have to put apples in. So she started to suggest pineapple. I say, Miss, you understanding the assignment. So all of that is, for me, is love. It just coming in different forms. And since there's something that you have to do. So I look at that as work.
Okay. But is it always that case or sometimes you see it as this is overwhelming, this is irritating, I'm not feeling to do this right now?
Yes. Yeah.
And in that instant, are you able
Yeah.
to see all those things you just described, or do you see it as, listen, I am not in the mood for all of this right now?
Well, I have to take a beat. I have to take a beat. And then when I settle back down, I try not to let my beat take too long. But when I settle down, I say, you know what it is you love to do.
Mm-hmm.
This is so I try to ask the question, who is getting upset? Who is offended? Who's getting upset? And then you realize that there's a part of you that really you don't want to come out of a comfort zone, and this thing is something that you will have to come out your comfort zone to do. So I try asking myself, who is getting upset? And then you calm down, try to calm down over that, because you realize that it's really like almost like you're considering yourself too good to do something. But it needs to get done.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to realize that it needs to get done. And if you use the old people saying of schoolboy never throw stone at an empty mango tree, you will realize that people come to you and they ask you to do things because they believe you have the capability to do it. So I've been learning to just take a deep breath. Like today, I was talking to myself and I was saying, so many things to get done, so many things to get done, so many things to get done. And I started again to feel that overwhelming sensation.
Mhm.
And I had to just challenge the evidence.
Okay.
Then say, settle yourself and you will be able to do what has to be done. And
Mhm.
have fun doing it. So, but admit, sometimes I have to take a beat first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because usually, we don't see work as that. So let me just read something for you. Love is often spoken about as a feeling, but one of its most powerful expressions is work. Not just effort for survival, but intentional, disciplined, and meaningful work that builds, nurtures, and sustains what you care about most. But when you think about work is the greatest form of love, do you view it as that? Or do you separate the two? Do you view it as something that nurtures, sustains, builds what you care about the most, or do you view it as I doing this because I need to sustain myself and I need the money?
Can I ask a question?
Yes. All right. So I think Lisa got bumped off. Yeah, I think she got bumped off. A lot of times we don't look at work as that. We look at it as separate. All right, she is back on. Lisa, are you there?
Yeah, sorry, I got bumped off.
Yeah,
So
really.
I was saying, so you're talking about work, love, and the monetary exchange. But this weekend, actually on Saturday, I decided that because I usually get up early every day, on the weekend you always going, and I decided I was taking this weekend to just kind of sleep in. And every 5 minutes is like, you say you need to get up. And I was like, no, doing nothing is doing something. Lisa, you need to get up. You need to do laundry. You need to do this. And I had to keep reminding myself, relaxing and listening to your body is doing something. So for me, in a sense, that is work. Work doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be physically um,
Active.
doing something. You
Mm-hmm.
don't have to be active. It doesn't have to be something where there's a monetary exchange. But we're so programmed to think that we work means it's a physical activity. Work means we have to literally get up and there's some type of exchange, maybe monetary, maybe, you're doing a favor to someone, but does it really have to be that? You have to show yourself love. It's all about self love. If you don't point to yourself, you can't point to someone else, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So love yourself first and work with yourself. And even if that work with yourself mean doing nothing, being quiet, internalizing, meditating, to me that's work. And that was my weekend. And you know, I was so out of it. I'm telling you, I was like restless, anxious. You don't know what to do with yourself because you're thinking you have so much to do. And, I just had to take the time out to just be like, no, it's okay. And I rested. And such Sunday, I got up and I was like revitalized. So that's just my 2 cents where work doesn't necessarily mean it has to be something physical. It has to have some monetary exchange or anything like that. You know, show yourself love, work with yourself, and doing nothing is work.
Yes. Well, that actually comes off our last week's topic, which was self love is more than just a feeling. So in paying attention to what your body is asking for in the moment, you recognize that in this moment, what I require is rest. And rest is also a very important part of the process that we tend to not place a lot of focus on. So in that moment, yes, your body certainly needed rest in that moment. But a lot of times we so programmed to fight it. You know, you're not supposed to, your time should be better spent doing, a lot of different things. But again, when I observe life, I realize that for a lot of persons, and I have a friend who had an experience where he was so accustomed fighting through pain, like working through pain, that he ended up damaging himself. So when he went to the doctor, and he asking the doctor about the ETA and how long am I supposed to, always what the end date of the rest. How long am I supposed to not do these things for? And the doctor told him, I'm not giving you an end date because you cannot identify when to stop when you're experiencing pain because you think that you need to work through the pain. And his body is giving him an indicator that something is happening and you might need to pause, you might need to rest, you need to recover, you need to reset. But for some of us, we don't even know what that is. You don't even know what that feeling is. You don't even know when to stop. And in doing so, you're really not showing yourself love and self-love in that moment because, again, your program understanding something else, but you really have to start to pay attention to what your body is stating in this moment. And sometimes, yes, you really, really need to slow down and rest before you can proceed to, because if you don't slow down and rest, you will not see work as love, you will see it as irritation. You would see it as this is overwhelming. I had enough of this. And that is when you know, okay, you're burnt out. But why do we always tend to allow ourselves to get to the burnt out process before taking a break, before resting? Because you see, it's in the rest, that is when the realignment comes. That is when the thoughts come. That is when the next steps come. But we always thinking that we need to speed up. And you're against the clock, you need to speed up. When really, you need to slow down sometimes. And you see your body trying to slow you down, and then what your body tends to do after you don't slow down is to stop you intentionally by getting sick. But again, we don't even pay attention sometimes when you get sick. When you get sick, you think, no, I'm not supposed to have to work through this, I have to work through this sickness, I have to sweat it out. And then you get yourself in a even further state, but you really have to start to slow down first, because if you don't, you really will not see work as love. You will just see it as irritation. And even when you look at persons who really, listen to this question, when you look at persons who really enjoy the work that they are doing, do they rush to do it? Or do they take their time while doing it?
I think they take their time while doing it and like savor the moment. They live in the moment and enjoy the moment.
That is exactly what happens, because the persons who enjoy what they're doing, they never rush it down. And again, for them, remember, they don't see it as work. And you see, therein lies the difference. So when you are engaging with whatever you need to engage with, what do you see it as? If it is at your job, if it is not even at your job, if it is, you might be doing something in the yard where the effort has to be done, you might be doing something for a family member, a friend, what do you view it as? Do you view it as work in the form of love, or do you view it as something else?
Yes, good night.
Good evening.
If you're doing a task you enjoy, where the time seems to go by, where the weather doesn't bother you, and you're just engrossed in the task. And having finished that task, you could look back and you could feel a sense of satisfaction. You could feel a sense of comfort. All right, it's looking good. So that work and love fall into one. Once you have this gratification, all right, you look back twice and you watch the task, and the task looking good. I feel it have love in that.
But do you approach each task like this?
No, it have certain tasks that you enjoy doing. That you enjoy doing, and when you look at the clock, you realize, hey, so, and it have other tasks.
Yes, you don't see it as it. And you see, that is why we have the question, do you see everything in that perspective, or only do you only see some of it? And you see, when you're approaching life, and during the week, as they told us, they're approaching things from a neutral state. And in approaching things from a neutral state, it could be something you don't even enjoy, you would realize, this is really love. But before I finish, I think Anastasia, your hand was raised first.
Good night.
Hello.
Alana, Adana,
Yes.
I am at the stage of my life where work is a bad word for me. I don't even want to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
First, I work hard and kill out myself in my lifetime. I do not even want to hear it. And I am at the stage of my life where, okay, I don't have no set of work to do. And even the set of time that I have on my hand, where like I doesn't self know what to do with myself now that you have the time on your hand.
Mm-hmm.
So right now I am at a rock and a hard place where work and okay, you have time on your hand now. You don't have to work that much and that hard, but you have the time on your hand now, and you really don't know what to do with yourself.
Okay. All right.
So
All right.
I am at that stage in my life. But you see, work, Adana, I don't want to hear nothing about it. It's like if like you're cursing me when you say work. I don't want to hear it. And if I have to do it, it's minimal. It must be minimal.
All right. So let me give you an example. I know Catherine hand raised, but let me give you a quick example. I have an aunt, and she, just like you, Anastasia, she worked hard for years. So she was in the food business. And with food business, after you go and sell food, you have to come home, wash, clean up, prep.
That is the same line of work I do.
Well,
that is why I'm here, man.
Okay, so you totally understand. So that is what she was in for years, and now she is no longer in that business. And I observe her because during the week I would stay up there to get to work easier, and I observe her. And just as we were discussing last week in terms of you are where your feet are, and Anastasia, whatever she is doing in the moment, she does it to the best of her ability. It could be the most menial task, the most overlooked task. She does it to the best of her ability. And when I look at it, I say, that is really how we are supposed to be approaching life. It could be the simplest thing. I remember once I went up there, so I would go up probably on a Tuesday, and I walked into the room that I'm usually in, and I'm like, why she make up this bed like if there's the Hyatt? Who makes up a bed like this? And it's the simplest things. Sometimes if I remember once I was leaving and I couldn't find a cover. Because again, she always ensures the best presentation. I just wanted a cover for the bowl. So when she wasn't looking, I take piece of oil quick and cover the bowl and put it in my lunch kit and leave. And you recognize that as you approach whatever it could be the simplest thing, Anastasia. And the thing is, whatever you are doing, you are where your feet are. So if you are washing wares, you are where your feet are. After you wash wares, you could go and take a break for 2 hours. And then after you wash wares, you decide, let me go and put some clothes in the machine. And in that moment, you are where your feet are. You put the clothes in the machine. And while the clothes are in the machine, you go and watch a movie. And you see, if you approach things from that perspective, whatever you are doing, again, you are focused only on what is in front of you at this point in time. I am washing wares. I could be sweeping. I could be decorating my house. I could be changing my curtain. You are where your feet are. And as Gillis was explaining, consumed in that moment by just doing this one thing to the best of my ability. There is nothing else that exists right now. Anastasia, I'm seeing your hand raised again.
Yeah, I just wanted to say it is a real big adjustment. Trust me.
Yeah.
And the adjustment is like a process for you
Yes.
to get there to be comfortable with this space that you're in right now.
Yes.
And for me, I have days I'm struggling. I have days I even getting meltdown where I'm bored or go what to do. Oh my God, I cannot believe life is like this. You just have to be always adjusting yourself. And to me it's hard. To me it really, really hard. I have my real hard days with it,
And it's not you alone, everybody, including myself, sometimes you really do have difficult days. And then you really have to remind yourself, and you see what it is is that, remember, we are learning something different in befitment. And when you look at the world is learning something and also proceeding differently. And even as Lisa was explaining in terms of you're lying down to rest and you're hearing, no, you're supposed to be doing, and your body saying, no, we need to rest. And it is a struggle in that area as well. But again, you really have to ask yourself, and don't even look at what anybody else is doing, and you're only paying attention to you. What is required for you right now? What is required for you in this moment? Because again, remember, this is your life, your space, your environment, and you really have to always ensure that you are focused on what is required for you. Yes, Catherine, I'm seeing that you have your hand raised.
When you asked about whether you like the task, sometimes I don't like the task. Not that I dislike the task, but I would prefer if the task was probably scheduled another time or you had to do it another time. But what I like is a challenge. So even if the task seems daunting, I like a challenge. And to me, the more daunting the task is, I find myself saying, sleeves up, roll up sleeves, let's get to it. And in there, to me, like, nothing could stop you. You just start to see, okay, you could do this, you could do that. Your time is if time is of the essence, you just start to get the thoughts and the ideas just start to flow, because I like the challenge. And then, as Gillis said, when you finish and you get through, you look back and you say, whether it was you had to do 40 things in 20 minutes, or you just make it almost like a game, as to see, okay, let's see how we're going to do this. We're going to win this. And for me, that is what makes it enjoyable, not the task itself. Because sometimes, when we had to do the workshop in Tobago, when I left here, everything wasn't ready. The entire floor, the floor was ready, but not the items that we needed to work the floor. And for me, it was a case of a cup of tea takes care of every single thing. 1 hour sleep, 1.5 hours sleep, By the time X time, because I like to work time backwards in terms of when you're supposed to finish something or start another part of it. And once I know what is the departure time, okay, fine. And so when you get to the site and everything is with you and it's in place, you don't even mind the fact that you had to give up 2 hours sleep because you tell yourself, you got it done and you'll sleep nighttime coming, you'll sleep then. So sometimes it's not so much the task for me that I like the task. I like the challenge. So the challenge of it. And that is what makes it enjoyable for me.
And you see, even in doing so, remember you're approaching it from a neutral space, that you're not approaching it from a predetermined, well, the last time I do this, and you know how we tend to do a lot of things. You're approaching it from a neutral space, and you see, once you do it from that space, you would recognize. And again, if you remain in a neutral space to do a task that you do not like, you would see how many different solutions or more effective ways of doing that task would flow to you. Instead of keeping yourself in a predetermined, this is how it's going to happen, and this is what happened to me the last time, and you're expecting certain things to happen a particular way. Trust me. Yes, Lisa? I'm seeing you.
I wanted to say something to Anastasia, because from my understanding, from the way you explain it, it seemed like you're retired from working. I have actually met with one of the doctors today that she retired probably about 3 weeks ago. And she's like the happiest person living her retired life, this retired lifestyle. And it kind of took me back to a question my kids had asked me years ago when I was trying to kind of revamp and find myself. And they asked, what do you like to do? So I think for like in Anastasia's case is asking yourself, what do you like to do? What you think is like on your bucket list or whatever, because this is what this doctor is doing. She wanted to learn Spanish. I went to her house today for my first yoga class with her, and she had a Spanish book, and it's like a children's, like like how you have those West Indian reader basic Spanish book. She wants to do Spanish. She's learning Spanish. She's playing the piano. These are all things that she likes to do. So if you come up with things that you like to do and you invest in yourself in that way, then it's pleasurable to you because these are things that you like to do and you find enjoyment doing it. So maybe, you want to join a dance class, or you want to, do pottery, or you want to do whatever you want to do. Find activities that that you would like to do. Like you work, for however long you work. Now is your time to invest in you. I mean, we always say, okay, when I retire, I would do that, which is not right, because we're supposed to be living every day and enjoying stuff every day. But, you're blessed to be healthy, have all your faculties, secure in all the ways that you're secure. Now is your time to enjoy you, to love you, to invest in you. So find things that is pleasurable to you.
Mm-hmm.
So therefore, you wouldn't be sitting at home bored. Come out of your comfort zone. Go to the movies by yourself, or do whatever by yourself. But just find activities. If it is like you like working with, somewhere, volunteer. You've been cooking. You might say, okay, have a couple of kids in the neighborhood, do a little cooking class, something basic. But just find things that you like to do, and then just do that.
Yeah, and I think too for Anastasia, the fact that she even here online means that she is open to a lot of different things, because I know befitment can be a bit of a difficult pill to swallow sometimes, especially during the week. And you see, once you are open to receive, Anastasia, you are really open to experience different things, new things. So probably if you start to place your focus in that direction, then you would realize, hey, it's have a class down the road that doing something, or they might need I know you might not be interested, but I know it sometimes it have the little community sessions where they might need a little volunteer lecturer to help the kids must bake a cake. Or it always have something going on, and sometimes when you least expect it, especially, there is something in your area that you could participate in, or it might even have other sessions that you could participate in. Just as Befitment is online, it have so many things available right now. But again, find out, ask yourself the questions, what do I want to experience? And then see what comes up. And then we might be having a different conversation by next month, Anastasia. And especially with July, August coming up too. You have a lot of different things coming up. So you never know what might open up in your area, or what might even open up for you online. And again, remember to define what you want to experience. And in doing so, what you would want to experience would find you after you define what you want to experience. So define what you want to experience and then see what happens.
Yeah, so I want to interject a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
You see the mindset you're going into certain things with, certain tasks. If you have a negative mindset, you ain't getting through with nothing.
Yeah.
If you're going in with the sun hot, the rain wet, the mosquito biting me, every task or every thing you go to do, it's going to take long, it's going to be work. But if you're going in with the mindset, I can handle that. As Catherine say, a little challenge. I handling that, man. I knocking off that in no time. And you're going with a positive mindset. You're going to do it. You're going to enjoy it, and then you could look back and smile. That looking good. I handle it. So just positive mindset, and you're handling most things.
Yes. Most definitely. And even as that was said, I just wanted to share something with you all. So let me share it with you all quickly. So that, of course, it is from a post from earlier this week. So we are on the app, of course, and we are going down to, okay, where is it? Right. Wise and shine. So the post says, you don't wake up negative, but negativity wakes up inside you. If you don't identify it first thing in the morning, you will wear it like a perfume for the rest of the day. So, of course, we have a video for you to watch. We have the story, but we're moving down to the inspiration and motivation. So let me just read a little part of it for you. You don't wake up broken, but something inside you tries to convince you that you are. It happens in the dark, before coffee, before sunlight, before you've even remembered what day it is. In the 90 seconds between your alarm going off and your feet touching the floor, an invisible enemy takes a seat at the control panel of your brain. It doesn't wear a mask, it wears your voice. This is internal negativity, and if you cannot identify it first thing in the morning, you will spend the rest of the day defending thoughts you never consciously chose. And I know for a lot of us, that is something that, and just as Lisa, you are attempting to rest, and your mind telling you, no, 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 no. You're supposed to be doing A, you're supposed to be doing B, you're supposed to be doing no. But remember, resting is part of the process. So before you even proceed forward to work, you always have to ensure that. And rest is something that we do not factor in. If you have a schedule, do you ever factor in resting? You don't factor that in at all. And you see, that is why so much times when you approach it, anything else, you would approach it feeling burnt out, feeling irritated, feeling annoyed before you even start. So you can't even approach it from a neutral space. And in approaching things from a neutral space, you would recognize that consistent efforts is a form of self-respect and love, because again, when you practice the consistency, even for you, it sets a particular bar, it sets a standard. So now what happens is that you're developing a new routine, a more efficient routine, a more effective routine. And in doing so, what is also happening is you're building discipline within it, because we always told about what is your routine, develop your routine, and in doing so, you would ensure that you would have discipline and everything. And then from that, you would recognize that your work reflecting particular values, and now your attention to things would be different. And again, in doing so, it's as though you're recreating the pattern. So you might have a functioning pattern right now, but when you start to practice something new, you're creating a more efficient, more effective, better suited pattern for you. Because some of us have some patterns that are not working and we're still using it, right? Every single day you're making the same choice. You're making the same choice, you're getting the same, and you're not even getting the same results, you're getting worse results, but you're adapting yourself to work with the worst results instead of trying something new. And you know for yourself that is exactly what you're doing. And the thoughts coming to try something different, and you're making the same choice. Just remember, this is the 8th of June, half of 2026 has almost elapsed. And we will be having this conversation in December, looking back saying, way boy, how much years now be Fitman talking to me about this boy, way boy, and I still didn't do it, Okay. And what do you think the difference is between busy effort and meaningful contribution? Do you think that busy effort has any real results?
No, busy effort is you could be busy doing nothing.
Spinning top in mud, because your results and again, because you're stuck in the pattern, sometimes you don't even want to confess to yourself that this really not serving any purpose. And you really have to sometimes slow down again and look at it and recognize where the meaningful contribution has to be made. Guys, Befitment has been talking to you for a very long time, and you would realize it's the same things being said in different ways. And even though the same thing is being said in different ways, what are you doing differently? Nobody not asking you to change yourself, cut off your hand and go and buy a new one. No, nobody's not asking you to do that. What are you doing differently to work more efficiently and more effectively for you? Remember, this is for you to experience a different life. But again, you have to ask yourself the question, do I want to put the effort in to experience a different life, or do I want to just remain as I am? And if you don't know where to start again, let me read. There was a post that was done recently about when to start and how to approach it. Okay, so let me just share it with you again. Remember, you have all the tools. Anytime you're thinking that you don't, you have all the tools already. So this post says, pick just one important task. Set a timer for 45 to 90 minutes. Turn off notifications and distractions. Really work on that one thing. Then take a real 10-minute break. Do nothing. Your life will be renewed, and your gratitude is already built into your productivity. So even if you think that you don't know where to start from wherever your feet is. Whatever is important, you work on it for 45 to 90 minutes. If you decide you want to tackle the whole mountain in a day, you will feel tired, you will feel overwhelmed, you will feel burnt out. Instead of saying, let me tackle this over a 2-week period, let me tackle this over a 3-week period. And for the Christmas junkies, You know you could start to paint in August, right? So you're not painting Christmas Eve. Or you're waiting until December 20th to go and buy paint where they raise the price. Or they probably have paint sales or something July, August. You have the time. And again, how are you making it work for you? And a lot of times we connect with pressure instead of connecting with purpose. And you know, as Lisa saying, I have this to do, and even Anastasia was saying, they have this to do, you have that to do, you have da. But when you sit down calm, you take a few deep breaths. Do you all know how to take a few deep breaths and calm your mind for a little while? Hello, anybody?
The issue is, do you practice what you know?
Or do you remember to practice it?
Yeah. In the moment, right then and there, instead of having to take a beat first.
Yeah, just as
That
you
is where I would like to go.
yeah.
But I think you should share it for, just
Okay.
go over it.
Okay, so wherever you are, doing whatever, you could be washing wares. And we're talking about just taking a deep breath and slowing yourself down. You could be driving, you could be in traffic, you could be in a long line. And I've done this in long lines and got through very fast there. Bring yourself back to the present moment. What does that mean? Bringing yourself back to the present moment. You are where your feet are. So even you say that you look down at your feet, where are you? Right here, right now, where are you? So it could be wherever you are. Look down at your feet. Where are you in that moment? I am in the bathroom. I am at a mall. I am exercising, wherever it is. And you stop, physically stop. And you could look around at your environment, identify where you are, because sometimes you might be standing up washing ways, but you're in last year, in something that happened last year. And remember, once you in that space, remember you're working back up all of that energy based on whatever the experience was, and you're pulling that into 2026. So it could be something that happened in 2024. Or sometimes you can't even remember the date that it happened, but you're pulling all of that energy forward again. Identify where you are. Look down at your feet, wherever you are in that environment, that is where you are. Clear your mind. If you bring yourself to the present moment and you start to look around in your environment, you know what is in your mind in the present moment, what is in your environment, and not what happened yesterday or what will not happen tomorrow. So you could even look around at wherever you are right now to absorb what is currently in your present moment. That is where you are. You are not in yesterday, you're not in tomorrow, you're not in the traffic in the morning to go to work. And in doing so, you bring yourself, your conscious awareness to the present moment, and you bring your mind to the present moment, and right where you are, and your mind is clear, your mind is only focused on now. Take a deep breath for 6 seconds. So we're doing it on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Slowly exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So we're doing it again. Identify where you are. So look around. You know where your feet standing right now, or your feet are sitting down, wherever you are. Look around. And in doing so, you're identifying where you are now. Identify where you are again. This is where I am. What am I doing in this moment? I am on AB Fitment podcast. What is required for me right now? I am required to bring myself back to the present moment. Okay. So we're going to breathe in again. Starting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And exhale. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are you all still present? Yes? Okay. So the next question you're asking yourself is, or if it is something you already know what it is, you're asking yourself, what is required next? Or even if you don't know what it is, you're asking yourself, what is required for you today? If you do not get an answer, what do you think the answer is? Do you think the answer is going outside and start to cut down the branches on the mango tree?
Be patient and wait.
Yeah, the answer might be still.
Yes.
That is the answer. Be still until an answer comes. So if you start to get hungry while you're being still, go and get something to eat. Does that mean you're going to start to put the clothes to wash? You're going to start to cook? No. You're going to get something to eat. You're going to prepare breakfast. And after you feed yourself, you might get the solution to whatever it is, but you really have to practice it before you approach any challenge. And sometimes you really have to fight against your own predetermined thoughts, because your own predetermined thoughts say, no. We have this to do, that to do. No, you don't. You don't. What is required in this moment right now? And what is required is probably go and sleep. And let me tell you something, sleep cuts a lot of momentum. Sleep cuts a lot of momentum. So when you find you have some momentum going in a particular direction, go and sleep. And a lot of times after you get up, you would realize you have clarity on whatever the situation is. And if you don't have clarity, after you sleep 2-3 times again, the clarity eventually comes. But you really have to practice going to sleep. It does help. It really, really, really does help. And again, you see, showing up daily is really one of the highest expressions of love. And it is something that we tend to overlook. But even when you look at your life and you do some introspection, like, how do you show up daily for you? Or how do you think you could better show up daily for yourself?
For me, I think I don't know what do you think, is working on releasing the things that I have held for a long time, which particularly over the last 4 or 5 years, you can see definitely need to go, but which I've held on to because they're familiar, because I really was convinced that that is the Holy Grail. And so daily looking to make some changes, make some other choices, let go of, question some of the beliefs that I held, and put them in the light, so to speak. Put them in the light, because when you look back, you say, well, you got this because of this person, and you believe this because of that person, and this was what this person always thought, and it came down a line, and it seemed reasonable, so you didn't question it. But when you decide to question it, you will find that, okay, it's not even so much a question of it didn't make sense. It made sense then. but it doesn't make any sense now to keep it going.
Yeah.
And like I said at the start of the program, where I was saying today I had to spend a lot of time challenging some thoughts that were coming, and which, if I had done what I would normally do, I wouldn't be in such a place. I would be feeling down and sad and whatnot. And so as the thoughts try to make a space for themselves, I would challenge that quickly so that I could get out of that thought, because it could have left me in a few places that I didn't really want to be in, particularly today. And so that is how I am showing up for myself daily going forward.
Okay.
Challenge, question, release, adopt different things. And when the anxiety starts to come, because I'm one where, because I always like to know the end, I always like to know how it ends. What is the end of this? That level of built-in anxiety, I'm working on. Okay, said okay, it's not going to. Like when my son told me the car wasn't starting on Saturday, I'm like, I already went down the road to
When the-
engine block this and that and that and that and that and that and he was like, no, let God do what God doing and get, just I'm going to sleep. You should go to sleep as well. And so it's little practices like that, just little things where you try to make different choices, look at things differently, and that's how I'm showing up for me daily now.
Okay. Anyone else?
Successful? Oh, don't we?
I think one of the things for me is pushing myself to get out of my comfort zone, because you tend to get comfortable in whatever situation, or however you respond to certain situations, but you realize, like, and Catherine says, it's almost like a challenge. When you challenge yourself and you step out of your comfort zone, it's like, oh my gosh, you feel like I've conquered something. I've conquered a fear. But, a lot of times we're in the moment when you're faced with the challenges, like, oh my gosh, now I'm doing this, and you tend to retreat, and you tend to, procrastinate or find reasons why you shouldn't, or, and a lot of times you go through with this stuff and it was so enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's like, why didn't I do this before? So for me, it's just kind of identifying when I'm starting to make the excuses as to why not,
Mm-hmm.
and then, even if you have to talk to yourself and try to see the positives, and, this is a new experience, so I'm going to learn this, or I'll probably meet someone, or, just whatever you have to do, go through with it, and just come out being a more fulfilled person at the end.
Yes. Because you would recognize that even within the topic, which is work is the greatest form of love, you're recognizing that love is not something that is passive. And it really becomes real, true structure, discipline, and commitment. And the structure, discipline, and commitment starts with you, because how you deal with you is really a reflection of how you deal with everything else. So, are you committed to your own goals? Are you committed to whatever it is for the day? Are you committed to completing these tasks? Are you committed to being in a different space by the end of the year? What are you committed to? And once you start to really become 100% committed with yourself, you would recognize that you would approach life differently, you would approach tasks differently, you would approach experiences differently. But the commitment, the discipline, and the structure really starts with you. And even for this week, practice it. When you engage in different tasks, See it as love. Even though this is something that I may not enjoy, I am doing this from love, with love, so that the outcome of this task would also be of a reflection of the love that I am portraying in this moment. And once you approach life from that perspective, you would recognize that I'm dealing with somebody that I may not like. And once you are doing it from love, you would recognize that the experience would be a different experience, because now you are able to function within each task or within each experience from a neutral standpoint, because you're approaching it as though this thing is fresh and this is new. You have no predetermined expectations, you have no predetermined perceptions. So even if it's a person, place, or thing that you do not like, once you approach it from that perspective, you would recognize, you know what I thought the outcome of this would have been, it is not. So I would like to encourage you all to approach each thing, even if you do not like it, each person, even if you may not like them, each experience, even though you do not like the fact that your car may not be working, from love. Yes, Anastasia?
I like that idea of approaching everything from love. Because when you think about love, love is an energizer. Love does energize you. So if you really take everything like you're doing it from love, you will be energized to really get your task done.
Yes.
And you will also be in the right frame of mind as well to get it done.
Yes.
So that really makes sense.
Yes. Remember, you do not have to do it from a place of love for 6 hours straight where you're trying to knock off this thing quick fast. You could do it for 45 to 90 minutes. If you will try to approach the entire mountain, you are going to burn out yourself. And when we burn out, we get turned off, and you just turn that off for the next 6 months. Instead of structuring yourself differently, instead of including discipline, instead of, let me really try this 45 to 90-minute thing and then take a break and see what happens. Try something different. Wherever there is a pattern that is not working for you, try something different and see what happens. Whatever is the monotonous task that you do not like, if you might ask the question, how can I do this more effectively, more efficiently? And once you are in a neutral space, you would recognize that you would be able to approach it differently. Remember your breath. When the challenges come, remember your breath in the moment. You tend to forget that, and what you go to, the pattern, fly off the handle. I always wanted to tell this person, and you send out negativity, and what you get more of? Negativity. You had to go and do something, you go to the place goes. Or you're attempting to go to the place, rainfall whole day. So ensure you remember your breath, and everything that you are approaching it remembering that work is the greatest form of love. Be it you're working to do something for yourself, be it you're working to do something for someone else, remembering that however you think of you, however you deal with you as it relates to love, is how you would also deal with everything outside of you. So ensure that even as you deal with you, you are dealing with yourself also from a loving perspective. Because a lot of times we tend to criticize and you make yourself feel guilty for a lot of things. Yes? So I hope that for tonight's session, it was a bit enlightening in terms of how you approach things on a daily basis, so that we can all adopt something new and live the life that we would really, really like to enjoy. So let me share what will be happening at the Balance Center for this week. So today we spoke about work is the greatest form of love, and tomorrow from 6 we would be looking at great together means stronger as one. So we would be discussing a choice to unite strengths, values, and purpose. And then of course from 7 we have our fuel and flexible body workout sessions. Then on Wednesday we have counseling and consultations from 10 a.m. and then from 6 we would be looking at relationships and the world around us. So we would be discussing cultivating, understanding, respect, empathy, and meaning. Then on Thursday, we have counseling and consultations from 10 again. And then from 6, we would be looking at using love as a tool for growth. So we would be discussing harness growth, healing, and becoming your best self. Then from 7, we have our fuel and flexible body workout sessions again. And on Friday, we have a private yoga and meditation session from 10. And from 3, we have free to be by appointment only, where we release, relax, restore, and unwind. And on Saturday, if you think you might need a session, you might need to speak to somebody, feel free to reach out. You could schedule this session. You do not have to come in person. You could do it from the privacy of your home or wherever you are, and you can reach out to us. And you can WhatsApp session to 336-1809 for more information. So guys, I would like you all to have a mindful week. Mindful, remembering your breath, and mindful, remembering that everything you approach from love would also reflect love back to you. So the more that you send out into the universe, the more that will be reflected back to you as well. Have a wonderful night. Have a mindful week. See some of you tomorrow and some of you next week, Monday. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Good night. Thank you.
You're welcome.